This is the inaugural episode of Soup City Obscura. I am Nobody, I am your storyteller, and we are just settling in, waiting on the other players to arrive. Why, hi there, how we doing?
Hello.
Kira will be muted for the next 59 minutes. Not that anyone's counting. They are on their way home, but they are here with us in spirit and in ear.
Fair enough.
While we wait on the others, do you have any questions, suggestions?
Oh no, just amusing myself with the whole overthinking things. It's fine.
Overthinking about what?
You should see it on my channel.
Oh, your oaths?
Yeah, the overthinking it.
Nah, it's more than fine.
And it's all fine. My 10-page paper got pushed back to next week, so I had a little more time than I expected.
Nice. Did you work out Hazel's connection with Aurora?
That would be Jay.
Hestia.
Nope. The only one who asked me about it was Lucio. Jay was like, we're all a member of the Freehold. We know each other from there. It's fine.
And as always, first and foremost, are there any... No. What are your questions, suggestions, hypotheses, or corners we'd like to round off? Silence, that glorious thing, attesting that we are all reading from the same book, if not the same page, chapter, and verse. As such, thank you. We have explored quite a lot of the landscape of this hobby, this city, and the characters that we have experienced in all the moments before now. Tonight, we are exploring a brighter corner of that darkness, a less overwhelming shroud of existence. We are lightly dancing through, in every shade of gray we can, the world of the changeling. There are a lot of things that we'll be exploring in regards to loss, identity, the meaning of joy in the dark, that small little flame flickering and sputtering against the wind. And for your efforts, your energy, and your time, thank you all. We'll be starting things a little differently in tonight's episode. Well, I'm going to have you guys introduce your characters, and then we're going to dive into our present situation. So without much further ado, until we don't, I'd like to say that this is officially Soup City Obscura, Book 1, Episode 1, Hill Over Dale. All of the good stories, all of the best stories, always start with once upon a time. It sets the mood, it sets the pace, it sets the expectations. But because this is not a good story, while it may be great, good is as far removed as a forgotten memory from childhood. And as such, with all of those many forgotten things, all of those lost moments slipped through the cracks of our adult world, our banal existence, with the overwhelming dark of responsibility, filial piety, and simply trying to get the ends to at least wave at each other if they can't meet. We swoop through the very well-known landscape of Chicago, and we settle far from our usual center stage. We're no longer in Rogers Park. We're no longer even in the Loop. We are on the south side of the city. We're south of 47th Street and east of Cottage Grove. The Metro is the major lifeblood of the area, unlike the Red Line. All of the streets moving east and west as you go north and south through the area are numbered: 47th, 48th, 51st, 50th, 55th, also known as Garfield. But it's the numbers that matter, because how far south on the block usually determines how far into potential jeopardy you are if you are a guest to the area. So we'll start alphabetically with the introduction of our dramatis personae, starting with Aurora. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Let me pull her up. She is 5'7", about 170, 165 kind of fluctuation there. I call her a bottom-heavy hourglass, basically. Sweet cocoa complexion, very bright colors, bright makeup, kind of casual and dressy 90s style, but upgraded. Hair currently in shades of blue, individual braids that hang down to maybe mid-back, but currently they're pulled up on top of her head. Kind of like, I guess if you've ever the show The Fresh Prince, that whole aesthetic, but like a little upper class. Paris Hilton meets Fresh Prince, I guess. She's usually very smiling, very, very full teeth. Like, you know, the fun friend, the one that, you know, hey, let's go skinny dipping, she's down. You know, that sort of thing. Very charismatic, very about her friends and loyal, but then at the same time, occasionally temperamental, occasionally quick to pop off at the mouth, as it were. Loves shiny things. Drugs maybe aren't out of the question sort of situation. That's just kind of how she is as a person. Hopefully that helps put a picture in your head of what she looks like, or her as a person.
Okay. And Hazel?
Hazel is a young woman. She generally appears to be in the mid-20s. She's got dirty blonde hair, gray eyes. She is 5'8", about 140-ish pounds. She tends to be riding like either a bicycle, or sometimes she'll be on a skateboard, depending on, you know, how she's feeling, what kind of role she's trying to portray. She seems to blend in pretty well, no matter where she goes. Like, there's just something about her that's, haven't I seen you before? No, I get that a lot.
Okay. And being as Kira is still in transit, and we just lost Tyke. No, we just lost Kira, which leaves Tyke. You're up.
Tyke is a large individual. He's like 6'7". He's muscle bound, built like a giant juggernaut brick shithouse, with a face even his mother didn't love. Not a handsome man. He has resting mean face. He's got close cropped hair. He dresses pretty plainly. He's mostly pretty quiet, but when he has to, he will become even more imposing than he is when he is not trying to be.
Well, that is in fact quite a wide and scattered motley. The other member of our motley, Kira, while still in transit, it's the best way to describe them. Of average height, slightly on the thinner side, scarlet tresses in their mask, bright blue eyes. Their mien, however, what all of the other changeling actually see is inky, wet hair, eyes, almost looking like photographic negatives of themselves. What should be light and bright is in fact dark and nebulous, and what should be dark and nebulous filled with the color is the absence of all such things. It's nearly glowing white. They are a little bookish, they're a little brave, they are a little mix of several different things, all of which can be summed up with questioning. That describes our motley of Hyde Park, part of the freehold of the City of Winds. In quick description of this motley, who holds their own separate freehold in and around Hyde Park, they're the caretakers herein. Not solely because it was something that was gifted to them or something that they were assigned, but the changelings, as a monolith, need to find a way to connect with this world in every way that they possibly can. And one of the greatest ways, one of the easiest ways in surviving the hedge and having pieces of themselves torn away, many lost forever, some merely just held within that liminal space of the hedge, is service. This was a lesson taught by Lucinda and Miguel, two of the more notable knight errants of the freehold of the City of Winds, two of the more outgoing seekers who brave the wild spaces of the hedge, the just across the border into all of that otherworldliness of Arcadia, to help find, retrieve those lost souls stuck in the hedge, scrabbling for freedom to make it to the hedge, and otherwise escape what torments their keepers might heap upon them. In short, they are shining fixed stars, or at least they had been, as far as the changeling of Chicago went. Like I said, all of the good stories, all of the great stories start with once upon a time. This is, again, not one of those stories, because we open on Graceland Cemetery, and all such scenes as this, amidst the tombstones, as the moon rises from behind its hiding space in the sky, there are droplets of rain, the sky itself crying, the very spirit of winter giving their cold, icy tears as Lucinda is lowered into the ground. The remains of her corpse, because everyone gathered knows that she is in fact not there. Everyone knows that what they are mourning is not the passing of a life, but the absence of Lucinda in each and every one of yours. Lucinda was one of the first faces most changeling in the city sees. Lucinda was one who helped teach how to blend in and disappear amongst the humans all around you, the humans that you no longer are. Lucinda helped many of you from the hedge. Lucinda helped many of you find what shifting, barely there spaces you currently inhabit. Lucinda is no more. And in that passing is where we begin, gathered around the grave as one star permanently is sputtered into nothing. The chaplain closes his book of prayers, many of which don't have a correlation in any currently spoken word. No currently spoken language. Because the chaplain, during their time across the hedge, was a song who had lost all semblance of flesh. Their keeper held them in a tiny box that was wound with springs jutting into their absence of flesh, but still poking and prodding them to raise their voice at their keeper's behest. I never go into details how they made it across the hedge. Some say that they were carried in Lucinda's pocket and all but forgotten about until she got to Lake Michigan, falling through one of the cracks and crevices in the hedge, merely losing an ounce of flesh, a bit of blood, tumbling into the waters below, the box falling from her pocket and regaining flesh. And even now you can see a slight wood grain to their skin as they close the book and they look towards you. I'd like to thank you all for coming. Lucinda would have appreciated it. If you all have an opportunity, there is a gathering of the last days of winter. The ground has already passed, and spring, while yet ruling the freehold, could not bring themselves to be here this evening. But we will hold a repast for Lucinda, and hopefully the memory of her kindness towards each and every one of us will keep us warm for a few nights longer. It doesn't need to say where you all will be gathering. There is one lasting place where winter can be found in Hyde Park. And you all immediately think of the pub. You immediately think of the greasy pizza filled with warmth and some semblance of happiness, each bite causing a childish grin to pop across your faces. And as the chaplain leaves you all to discuss, what, if anything, are you all feeling in this moment?
For those that kind of know Aurora on a day-to-day basis, this is probably like the most muted she's ever looked, I guess. Whereas normally her eyeshadow would be like 15 different colors blended and very bright lips and things. Today she's definitively more turned down. Very simple clothing, very much mourning. Trying to hold on to that smile of what you're thinking about the pizza and meeting the others and getting together with them, but then still thinking about the fact that this is a very sad situation for them to all be in.
Tyke is being quiet and to himself, wearing the same thing that you pretty much always see him in, which is a semi-ratty t-shirt and greasy old jeans and a leather jacket.
Hazel would likely be wearing just a simple all-black outfit, nothing too flashy. Hair tied back.
So as the rain says everything that no one else actually is. So as the rain batters and massages the skin, its chills sinking beneath the very warm and usual liveliness of the group. One by one or two by two, they leave the cemetery. They drive south, one of quiet contemplation, faces grim and the weather matching that grimness, the streets slick. Chicago just ambling by like a great dark beast seeking somewhere warm to hide from the thunder and lightning of winter's fury, because that is in fact what it is. Winter, the most somber of things, the end of things, even now mourns the loss of Lucinda, one of the more notable members of the Lost. Arriving at the pub, it is difficult because while interspersed with the Lost here, joining in repast and the remembrance of Lucinda, are mortals, humans, those who don't realize that they rub elbows with magic, those who are well on their way to losing themselves, many chasing various demons down various bottles. Their loss of themselves, their loss of hope, turning the feel of the place into something a little sour, a little pungent, yet rife with all of that tossed off emotion, feeding and succoring each of the loss that gathers. Most of you all are moving from the bar to the back room where the actual festivities are taking place. As you all enter, a few nods, a few recoils, a few casual glances that immediately read you all for filth hold sway. And then the song starts. It's low and there aren't any words, even though there's a voice slightly raised just above the jukebox, creating a song that only you all hear with your souls. And you can't place it, but it sounds like childhood disappearing. It sounds like sadness giving voice. And it's somehow fitting on a night like tonight. While Aurora is away and while Kira is getting settled in, what, pray tell, are Hazel and Tyke discussing?
So, what did you think of this ceremony?
It was all right.
Anything stand out to you?
How you mean?
Just any part that seemed to touch your soul or provoke sadness or, anything like that.
It was a dead lady. That was sad.
Yes, it was.
The weight of the moment is oppressive. The start and stops of conversation here and there. The attempt at connection, the attempt of drawing out energy is not something that's happening just at this table, just not happening just at this section. Across the room, there is an absence of things that are understood and felt. There's no actual word for it. It's as if each and every one gathered is alone in their moment together. Even with the outpouring of emotions from the humans, the mortals moving in and out of the crowd, partaking of the pizza, having a brief flick of something shining, and having it stolen away by the alcohol and other substances that they are inhaling by the handfuls. It is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most despondent moments in recent memory for the gathered loss. And those with a fingertip on the pulse of the political situation happening in and around them, this only adds to that weight. Because while Lucinda was the face, while Lucinda was that welcoming arm pulling you into the freehold as a whole, though City is not one of brotherly, sisterly camaraderie, Hyde Park does not get along with the L-Town assassins. Hyde Park doesn't get along with the Loop Lords. Hyde Park does not get along with the South Shore miners. Each small section of the city, each separate, indivisible freehold has tension with the others. It rubs and it slides and it aggravates. The humors and demeanor of the lost are just as fickle, oftentimes, as their keepers. And without Lucinda to help maintain the peace, as small numbers as the Motley of Hyde Park, as the freehold of Hyde Park actually has, there's no doubt that they and many of the smaller independent freeholds and Motleys of the city will either lose their territory, lose their space to hunt and find glamour, lose their space that helps them embed themselves in the mortal waking world, and most importantly, open them up to potential predation by things from across the hedge. So in this room, there are people who are, yes, mourning Lucinda, but also mourning what the future might bring. And they are not alone. Because the four of you, living, existing, floating through the world with Hyde Park as your center, realize you can't be everywhere at once. Realize that without some notable peacemaker to keep you all free from the predations of things across the hedge, things in the hedge, and your other neighboring freeholds, very well could make you all prey.
Tyke will stretch and crack his neck and kind of just keep pushing his fist into his other hand, his massive, massive hands.
Hazel will look about the room, taking in the overall scene and mood. Kind of. Maybe smiling a little inwardly at the fear that's going on.
As down and despondent as most of the persons, most of the lost that are gathered are, there's a very real connection with what spring is. Most people understand that the power of the spring court, when it is in session, when it sits upon the throne, that things, joy, happiness are what they're known for. But there's also a darker side to it, the other side of the coin, as it were. Desire often and quite easily slips into covetousness. Denial of sadness also slips into a paranoid disillusion and denial of the dangers that are just a hair's breadth away. And that is what's truly taking hold. Underneath the loss and sense of mourning, there is the very reality that we're moving into a new season. Chicago, the home of winter and autumn, is moving into a season where things grow, things fester and molder, and where others, and oftentimes oneself, becomes desirously covetous of what your neighbor has, be it their love, be it their money, be it their domain. And that is the backing beat to the song of sadness echoing off the walls. That is the chorus to the wordless song humming along everyone's skin. And as Tyke draws more than a little attention with a thunderous slap of his fist upon his hands, you realize that with that fear also comes a consideration of what you all are. Consideration as to how small the motley of this particular freehold actually is. A consideration with all of that boundless open space. All of the dreamers up for grabs. The college students. Those who work by day. The gig workers who fly in and fly out of the area. The few clubs and bars that stay open late enough to threaten dawn. All without any significant challenge.
Aurora kind of catching what everybody's looking at, takes notice, and is for a second frowns because she's already seen where this could potentially go. Kind of drifts towards Tyke and looks up at them with his mouth. Hey, big guy, what's going on?
Just waiting for one of these mooks to try something.
You really think they're gonna start a fight at a funeral?
Yes.
You know, normally I would disagree entirely. But in this case, I don't doubt it. That's kind of a scary thought. I don't think I like that one too much. Do we want to go get pizza? Pizza might make it better.
Okay.
So as Aurora and Tyke rise from the table, heading towards the bar to place the order for pizza, leaving Kira and Hazel at the table alone, is there anything that may be being discussed at the table?
Should I take the moment to describe Kira at this point?
I did a cursory Reader's Digest version of it.
Okay. We'll save it for next time then. So, what happens now?
Trouble, most likely.
For a funeral, that seems rather uncouth.
Well, maybe not right now. But it's rarely ever a good thing when one of the main ties that bind are lowered.
I thought the point of the freeholds were that we all work together. It seems that we're not quite as united as I was originally led to believe.
Well, united in staying here, perhaps. It doesn't mean they don't have their own agendas.
Did you know her well?
Not too terribly. She was kind. She was... Would she have been the one that found me, or...
Yes.
But okay. She's the one that found me wandering.
Oh, then I'm sorry for your loss.
Loss is the funny thing.
Certainly won't be the last.
Loss is a funny thing. You rarely truly come to grips with what it actually means for you until you're in a quiet place, somewhere safe, free from harm, and able to look back over the many, many scars of your life, or as close to it as you can get. Loss carries its own weight, and you don't realize that you're carrying it until you sit it down. As Tyke and Aurora get to the bar to place their order, the question is, what would you like on your pizza, considering you can have nearly everything? This is one of the few places where the untamed imagination of children and the often gluttonous greed of adulthood combine into an orgiastic culinary treat. There are pizzas for every personality and every varied taste. The menu is a full 12 pages, double-sided, front and back, of options. And they only serve pizza and alcohol.
Like, the look on her face is kind of cute. She's tapping her chin, head tilted. Okay, I know what I want, but I know you guys might not like what I want, and we go through this every time we order pizza. So, what do we want on the pizza?
You guys want anchovies and peppers?
Oh, storyteller, are we also in this moment, or did they walk away for this?
They walked away, but they yelled back. There is while the distance is far enough for you all to have a relatively quiet conversation, yelling across the bar is not outside of normal. In fact, it's almost expected. It's a clubhouse for adults.
Kira will shout back, "Make it Hawaiian."
Hazel will just shrug.
One never expects to be in a part-time job from teenage to adulthood, but that's where most of the staff are. The hours are deplorable. They're longer than they should be and pay less than expected. Yet somehow each and every last one of them, from the bartenders to the servers to the pizza makers in the back, as much as they despair their jobs here, have not missed a day since high school. Each of them have worked their way into the positions that they are holding, often most of them starting as dishwasher or busser. Some even started with the cleanup crew that was paid to come in and clean up behind the bar staff and work their way into the staff themselves. So they've been here for years. The bartender is, not that you can tell, but she's pushing 66 in 3 months. She looks as if she's somewhere in the neighborhood of between 30 and 46. The head pizza maker has been in this position since he was 16, an entire 40 years ago. And the busser, who looks just past high school age, is actually nearing 37. The magic is all around you. And what you say and what you do, what you elicit in the mortals, both staff and patrons, tends to come to some semblance of fruition. And as you all are in the midst of getting your pizza, as others are doing much the same, ordering more pitchers of beer, other bottles of whiskey, there's flagons of wine, and yes, full-fledged actual flagons, not the boxed wine, not the bottled wine, actual flagons, actual Stein-sized decanters of wine for a single person. It's interesting that you all don't typically notice those small little anachronisms, but in this moment, with sadness weighing you down, with pizza lifting you up, with the moment of chaos that is this space holding sway, you begin to notice how many things are not of today. Here, there's an actual jukebox, not a digital downloaded, streamed in anything, though there are actual records inside that box playing music. There's an actual little small space set aside for a band upon which the chaplain is currently sitting, and keening isn't quite the right word, but singing would be wrong as well. He's emoting, he's doing free-form throat music, he is keeping time and tempo with the conversations and the yelled exchanges across the room. He's expressing all that he is feeling or the absence therein. There's a strange sense to what he's actually doing, yet whatever it is, it's actually being done. And into this chaotic mix, almost unseen, it's a little person. She's barely three and a half feet tall. She's got long, plaited, auburn hair. She's leading a little puppy, and the puppy is trundling along behind her, its tongue hanging out a little longer than it should be, because a dog that size should have, what, a 1.5, 2-inch length tongue, yet this one is dragging the floor in front of it as she skips behind this person who doesn't see her, past this one who looks to their left as she dances to their right, and she's moving along with the tempo from the music echoing from the jukebox, yet between these moments, you all seem to be some of the few who actually see her.
They seem to be in a good mood.
Doggy.
With Tyke and Aurora at the bar, she settles into Tyke's stool. Now, one of the things you all notice about Tyke, it takes a substantial piece of furniture to hold him aloft. Yet when she sits in the chair, lifting her dog into her lap at your table, the chair creaks and moans, yelling its protest of the weight that it is now suddenly carrying.
Aurora actually has that squinty one eye, like trying to figure something out, like looking at the dog, looking at the little person, looking at the dog again, and then looking at the rest of them. Well, hello? Towards the person that just sat.
Oh, hello yourself. Hi, says the dog.
Hazel will smile kindly at the dog. Hello.
Kira gives a concerned look to Hazel, as if asking, like, what do I do in this situation?
Hazel will
You should say hi.
shrug.
Hello.
She strokes her dog, looking from it to you, then looking to Hazel, and turning her head nearly 90 degrees to look back towards the bar where Tyke and Aurora are, before snapping it back towards you all at the table. Everybody loses something, and something loses everyone. Blessed be those who find those things that are lost and offer them for sale. $3.99 if you can pay the price, and twice if you're not nice.
Hazel will tilt her head to the side. I'm listening.
Yes, but do you hear? Or are you there? Some state in between. We've got to come to an understanding. Or we don't have to. I can just merely ensure that, well, you know. Hi. Shh. Not now. Okay. As the dog says okay, at this point, Tyke and Aurora have placed the order for pizza. They've retrieved a few drinks for you all, your usual favorites, and are heading back to the table.
Sets the drinks in front of the people that she knows they belong to. And hers, of course, is all sorts of ridiculous colors of alcohol into like a miniature fishbowl. And notices, oh, sorry, we didn't get you anything. Meaning,
Hi.
I can fix that.
Oh, hello. Feelings, memories, identity, purpose. All things lost along the way, which I have happened, potentially, to find. Hi, not now.
Tyke will set his pitcher of beer down that looks like just a mug in his hand, and we'll look at the girls to see if he's supposed to hit somebody or...
Hazel will just shake her head.
I have a question. Aurora wouldn't have heard what the little person said to the other two, so she doesn't quite know why they're sitting there, or she would have heard.
Well, she just heard the little small limerick of feelings, memories, identity, purpose, all things lost.
So are you offering a trade of something lost for something found?
Maybe. Hi. Shh, not now. And she reaches onto the table, taking Tyke's pitcher of beer and shoving it into the dog's muzzle, causing it to begin lapping with that super long tongue to the bottom of the pitcher and back, scooping up just garbage and heaps of beer into its gullet.
Hey!
It tries to say through the gurgling beer and it's on its tongue and in its mouth. Good boy. Much better.
Hazel will lean back and cross her legs. Look at the dog. Quite adorable.
That's rude.
He did say hi. And again, the dog gurgles through more beer. The pitcher nearly half gone, and it tries to say hi once more, and she just rubs between its ears.
Is that healthy for them? I don't think
Do you Are you allergic to gluten? Is that why you ask? Bread is good for everyone, no matter what form it's in.
It's not the gluten I'm worried about. It's the alcohol.
There's no alcohol in beer. It's just sugar and bread.
Hazel, I'm gonna let you handle this one.
She will smile fondly at the girl. I'm not sure there's a whole lot to do. But you were saying something about a trade.
Oh, trade. I didn't say trade. I said free 99. But I'm sure you can trade free 99 for something. Maybe nothing. Maybe something. Who's to say? And she sets the picture of beer, which is now 5/6 empty, back onto the table. And she reaches for Aurora's glass and just shoves it into the dog's muzzle, as right when it's getting ready to say,
normally she'd be irritated, but this is just like hilariousness to her, so she's getting immense amounts of joy from this whole situation and cracking up. So, like right now, the dog is entertaining. So, yeah, she's just like, I guess I have to get another one of those. But, okay, so what is it that you think we've lost? Or is it you that's lost something? Because I was a little confused as to which it was, but
well,
which direction does it go in?
she looks to her left, and her head keeps turning until her eyes are looking directly over her left shoulder blade, her chin resting against her back, and she looks at that half of the room. Then she turns her head to the right and doing exactly the same thing, taking in every singular member of the lost that is present, as well as those mortals dancing between them without realizing who's in their midst. Everyone here has lost something, though the something that is found isn't always what was lost, even though they are the same thing. What I offer is a chance for you to find what you've lost, whether you realize it or not, be it memory, identity, purpose, or something a little more personal. After all, having love and being loved are two separate things, but they all require an ability that comes with the memories of who you once were. Wouldn't you, and she looks directly at Tyke, like to know what you left behind? Just a portion of it, a small bit, a little bit of all of those hours in the library. What was really written on the fabric of your soul? Wouldn't you like to know what it was like to be truly one with water, not simply made of it? Or better yet, to what purpose were you created? Was it simply to fill a role? Maybe. Maybe not. She sets Aurora's glass back down and reaches for Kira's and shoves it into the dog's mouth.
And all of this for only $3.95, you said?
395 years. I wouldn't go that high, but maybe. Perhaps. Almost. Close to it. I mean, between the... Oh, it's only 4 of you. What happened to the 5th? Where's Lucinda?
Presuming there's like an empty chair reserved for a guest of quote unquote guest of honor, Hazel will gesture towards the chair.
No, she wasn't turned into a chair this time. She got away before that happened. Oh well, I guess you guys don't want to know. And she sits down Kira's glass. It's mostly half empty. And she starts to reach for Hazel's glass, but then she stops. Oh, that's the poisoned one. Well, it's been nice meeting you all. Enjoy your evening. I hope you get all that you don't deserve.
Wait. What exactly do you want from us?
What does anyone want? To be seen, to be understood, to be. Well, maybe next time. I wish you all luck, and I hope.
I might be interested in this. Even if it's a chance, I know there's some things that I still want to figure out.
But do you? Do you really?
Yes.
And what? How would you like to go about it?
Well, what did you have in mind?
An entire world where everything is equitable. I've offered 3 times. This is the 4th. The price has gone up. And you've yet to offer anything.
Sure,
Aurora, looks at her arm, and she normally wears quite a cluster of bracelets. Looking through her bracelets, she finds one that she had worked on for a good while before she felt like it was completed, and unclasps it and puts it in the middle of the table. I don't think that will be enough, but it is something to offer faith and start, perhaps. And I can do more if it is something that she would accept.
She picks it up, bites it. What is it made out of?
It's made out of sea glass, and there are actual, like, small pearls.
Oh. You've never seen anyone actually eat glass and pearls. But when she bites down on it, it shatters as if it was a jawbreaker. It shards and bits of glass stick in her gum and cause it to start bleeding. She licks her tongue across her lip, and as she does so, her dog also does the exact same, with a hiccup in between each small movement of that very overly large tongue. She puts it back down. No, not sweet enough. There's not enough happiness. There's nothing sacrificed there. There's nothing. Are you trying to cheat me?
Oh, I think I might know how this is gonna work then. Kira will start. We'll pull the carry bag she had near her, riff through it for a little bit. Maybe
Tock tick, tock tick, tock tick, tock tick, tock tick. And as she starts saying tock tick, the echo of her expressed reverse of what a clock sounds like everyone present, would you be so kind as to go ahead? Let's make the first roll of our evening, because there is magic afoot, an unfurling of an uncomfortable space inside your presence, a invasion of sorts, and you're not the only one that feels it. But being as you all are effectively at ground zero, would you be so kind as to roll your composure and word DC 3. Talk, tick, talk, tick,
So,
talk.
just out of curiosity, would Cloak of Leaves impact this at all?
Being at ground zero, no. It's effectively you all are resisting a waking dream. You're countering an oniromantic effect.
Okay, because this is for Cloak of Leaves. It's supernatural abilities that include contracts, kith blessings, vampire disciplines, mage spells, and any other innate ability used by a supernatural creature.
And it gives you how much? Resist.
It is a 2 dice penalty. Because I took it at 2.
Aha. That means that you get 2 additional dice.
And we don't put hunger dice, right? It's just a 0 for hunger dice.
Yes.
It's telling me I have no characters.
Oh yeah. You know the roll without adding a character.
I thought I did.
For those of you that failed, are you going to use any willpower?
Yeah, that seems like a thing.
No.
Here we go.
And we are off to the races.
And would you look at that first session and everyone's already dead?
Right?
Not quite. Kira, as the youngest, free of the hedge, as the youngest, back this side of imagination. Because that's literally what Obscura was. That's literally what Apocrypha was. That's literally what all of that is. All of the many fantasies and ideologies and dreams given flesh. What it looked like was what it had become, was what it really was. Perception really truly was reality. But you're the freshest back. You're the most recent this side of the hedge. And a sense of yourself, or at least yourself that you're hoping to be, has been your guiding star. And it keeps you free of the lullaby that falls over everyone else's eyes. Their eyes filled with stars and the remnants of Arcadia, the remnants of Obscura, the remnants of Apocrypha falls across everyone's gaze. You are able to see her for what she is. She is not a little person. She is not a small person, and that is nowhere near a dog. Somehow, in the midst of this space has entered a thing that should not be here. A greedy, gluttonous thing. small enough to dance between the cracks of reality, and large enough to hide itself in plain sight. And as you stare at her, as the words tumble out of her mouth, tock, tick, and the dog, the black hole of a thing, is echoing her, you watch as everyone drifts into a dream. Starting with Aurora, who, watery, seeming, ripples and undulates as if it is a slow-moving stream, gently caressing the rocks in its path, the riverbed underneath providing the support necessary for all of that gently flowing water to undulate and move all of its own. You watch as Hazel ceases to be Hazel, their mirror-like darkness fading all of their features into nothingness, reflecting the world around them. As you can tell, someone is thinking of a lost love, someone is thinking of a mother, someone is thinking of their sister, someone is thinking of their father, and all of these images and all of these various factors wash and slide along the surface of what they are. And though you try not to, you take in Tyke as this demon. That's the best way to describe the red skin that is always there as it bursts and swells, and there is a uncharacteristic heat pouring from between the cracks of his flesh.
Hero looks around frantically at everything happening. Oh, sorry, were you not done?
No, go on.
Looks around frantically. As she was digging through her pouch, she stops and looks up at the thing now in the room. What did you do to them?
Me? I didn't do anything. I just reminded them of what they lost and the value of what it is they lost. What it is. Why are you not missing what you lost? Don't you want to know? Don't you want to?
I do. I don't know what it will mean when I find it.
There's only one way to find it. There's only one way to embrace.
Bear will then pull out something from her pouch that she had been keeping for a while. It's a picture of her family that she would look at to reminisce on the past. And holds it up to the thing in front of her.
Oh, that's not what you lost, because you replaced it. What you lost is knowledge. Don't you want to know where the poison actually is? In you. And she begins to move back away from the table. She begins to move back away, pulling a little of the color in the room behind her, like someone pulling a tablecloth from a table laden with food. You can hear the glasses overturning. You can see the mess beginning to happen as she moves further and further away, pulling more and more of the color from the room behind her.
Then what is it that you're looking for?
I guess you'll never find out. Aurora, I misread your die roll. Sorry about that. As you're here now.
Okay, so she can. I'll roll with it, and it was temporary. But since she can affect time herself, she kind of snaps out of it and looks at the thing that was the little person. And, well, that was rude. I tried to offer you something and you didn't want it. I worked really hard on that bracelet.
Yes, but you didn't do it with you. You didn't risk you. You gave your attempt to beguile others. It's not a part of you. It's not a part of what you lost. It's not a part of what you're even missing. Shame, shame, shame.
Well, then, since you know so much, what am I missing?
Your true, full heart. You have a piece of it left, but the other parts. And then she says other parts. As she says other parts, Hazel, Tyke, your eyes no longer glossed over. Your moment across the hedge no longer sitting across your features. Your time away from here no longer weighing you and rooting you to the spot as the little person, smiling tauntingly, backs away from the table. You all notice that you're some of the few who are already free. The others are slowly coming around. The other guests, the chaplain even, taken under by whatever it was that just happened, slowly coming back to themselves. And it is further away. And instead of moving toward the front door, moving out of the back room into the bar proper, they are moving towards the cleaning closet. They're backing further away.
How far away is that?
Still inside the room.
Which is how far?
Within your step, as large as you actually are. It's a step and a half for you, a long step, of course, a pace, but still within range of what's going on in the room.
Tyke is going to roar, and he's going to 7-league leap on top of her. Because Tyke smash.
Is anyone else doing anything else?
Kira was going to try and pull something else out of her pouch, but seeing what just happened, her next action is going to be looking back at Hazel and Aurora and with an expression of, well, what do we do now?
Aurora wanted to cut through the bullshit, and she wants to know what this being wants, and I have Cupid's arrow, so I can find out what their desire is on a contested roll. I'm gonna hit her with that.
Hazel.
Oh, what should we call you?
Okay. So you're asking after his name. Kira is looking for inclination as to what to do. And Aurora, following quickly on to Tyke's leap, is drawing what looked initially like an invisible bow that materializes in a semblance of, how do you describe your particular Cupid's arrow?
Cupid's arrow, instead of the heart-shaped tip that most Cupids are supposedly having, it's a little octopus that smacks into their heart and like suckers on.
All right, so several things happen as always at once. Tyke, would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your strength plus brawl for the initial leap attack, adding if you have any contracts that might help. And Aurora, go ahead and make your initial roll.
Yeah, 7 league leap is the contracts.
So it's not a strength plus brawl, it's actually a strength plus athletics. Go ahead and make that roll.
Okay, how do you count mantle? Because I know I have 6 dots with just the wits, and
Mantle should be in your sheet. It's your court mantle. I'll just go ahead and roll her now so you know what you need to be.
check my mantle is only if I'm using it to seduce or attract somebody, so I don't know if this would count.
Having trouble getting any of the dice rollers to work there.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're having a off night technologically. Okay, so we got 5 versus.
Well,
Tyke go splat.
Tyke gonna spend some willpower.
Tyke,
I didn't know.
Tyke go splat. You've never seen such a more destructive action. He literally leaps to where she is as the door is opening. The chocolatey warmth that is her seeming splatters into a puddle of nothingness and slithers through the door. Where Tyke lands, the wooden floor is shattered. Shards of it have flown across the room 25, 35 feet from where he lands, where it was. The dog, however, as Tyke is pulling himself out of the wreckage of the floor, licks and pants at Tyke as the octopus that was aiming for where she was gets caught in that chocolatey goo and begins to sizzle as if it is in fact acid and smoke and disappear into nothingness, much like she does. The tinkling of bells sounds as the splatter of what she was slithers through the door. The truth of the matter is, in this moment, there is a part of each of you that knows when something is stolen from you. A part of each of you that recognizes when the game itself is afoot, whatever that game may be. And that's the sixth sense that is going off in your head as when she slithers through the door, in the brief moment of that connection, that physical goop that was her hits the door jamb, the threshold of that door. You see a wall of rose vines reaching out as if something huge and made of those vines is attempting to escape but can't quite pull itself all the way through. Tendrils of the vines clinging to the edges of the door. And in that brief second, in that brief moment, you all know where this space exits into. And for a brief moment, all of the parts of you, the flight through that thicket, the tumbling, the falling, the tearing and gnashing that was required to escape washes over you all. It very much feels like instead of Lucinda being lowered into the ground, it was you all. Because crossing that threshold is what your souls demand and your conscious mind tells you not to do. And as you all consider what your next actions are, we are 1 minute past the hour. Let's take a quick pause until 11 after, and I'll see you all back here in a few moments. Welcome back, folks. Anyone still here?
I'm still here.
I am here.
Yep.
Well, here is better than not.
Here.
Fine, right?
Excellent. So, as the hint of the forbidden, as a hint of the impossible wafts through the bar, as the brief flickering glimmer of crawling snake-like rose vines invades the space, and that calling like a siren to home where you never belonged takes hold. What is everyone doing? Tyke is literally 4 feet from that space of the impossible. Aurora, sitting on the opposite side of the table, is roughly 15. Next to her in distance of closeness is Hazel, who's 14. And then you have 13 feet where Kira is sitting halfway between that space and where you all currently are. What is it that everyone's doing with that door into the impossible sitting there? With the promise of pieces of you that is missing sitting there. Having witnessed that thing splatter into nothingness and still slither through that doorway.
First thing Kira's gonna do is run over to Tyke and try and help him up and ask, "Are you okay?"
Tyke is going to go after the thing.
Still in his Sorry, go ahead.
I take it that even though I use that ability, did I not get any information from it, or did it fail?
It failed by 1.
So, I guess we're going after it.
Yeah, as soon as Tyke goes in, Kira will. Well, realistically, she will look back to the others, be like, "This is real. Is this really happening?" And then charge forward with Tyke, or after Tyke.
Into the hedge.
The timing of things is impeccably precise, because in the matter of seconds, what you all saw disappeared into nothing. What you all saw in that impossible space, because it's just a cleaning closet. Normally there's nothing there but a mop bucket. The water in that space doesn't even actually work. But in that brief flickering second of the splash of what that thing was slithering through and across the threshold, you all leap into action, moving, your speed apparent as the crescendo of the chaplain's song echoes through the bar. The moment that the last of you, the least of you, the slowest of you crosses the threshold, the bar is simply the bar. The moment still weighing heavily upon everything else sitting on that side of the door, while you all are greeted with the claustrophobic dimming of light. The vines to your left and to your right still holding a glimmer of daylight's heat. The barbs trailing behind and protecting the roses all around you, seeming to reach out towards you as you slip past one, dodge another, and continue forward, seeking that thing that refused to give its name, and tempted and teased and toyed with parts of you that are missing. In the ever-shifting physicality of the hedge itself, this space between space, this protection and border between all the things real and all the things that may never have been, does anyone have any contracts with navigation?
I have relentless pursuit.
Not specifically with navigation, but I do have hedge sense.
No.
Okay. That being the case, with Tyke taking the lead, with Hazel, are you pulling up the second position or are you bringing up the rear?
I will bring up the rear because I trust that Tyke is perfectly capable of smashing through anything. And from the rear, I can be like, no, the other way.
All right.
And I will also make mental notes of anywhere that someone gets a little bloody from getting too close to the thorns where it drops on the ground.
Okay. So first things first, Tyke, would you be so kind as go ahead, roll 2 glamour. Success, of course, working in your favor, and this is an instant. So as you begin chasing behind her and tapping into your connection to the world at large, the very spirit of the hunt, it is impossible for those behind you to not watch as your back swells and you take on the hackles of some ferocious predator. It's not quite wolf-like, it's not quite the mane of a lion, but there is a very real growth of hair, a hirsuteness that falls over you. You're snorting and snuffling as you take in the unreal air of your space. And with that success, you get a brief flickering image of all of that chocolate light sauce solidifying in a place surrounded by teacups, cast off animatronics. You get a sense of a clearing hidden by a huge elm-like tree, and you charge headlong into the hedge. Now, while you lead the charge, Hazel bringing up the rear and directing from the rear, would you be so kind as to, you need 2 successes to keep everyone in sight of Tyke as he charges and breaks through brambles, tears through corners, and is locked on to a scent like a baying hound. Would you be so kind as to roll? Where's my sheet? 1 second. And of course, you get to add your dots from your sense, and that is you can either use wits and survival plus your benefit from the merit, or you can use your charisma and expression to keep everybody on the straight and narrow, following behind the broken branches and the broken brambles and not being led astray because the hedge itself is bending and turning and swirling as you all tumble through it.
You mean presence?
Persuasion. Because it's easy for the hedge to lead you astray, because there is a easier path.
No, you said charisma. That's not one of the traits.
Did I say? Sorry about that. Yes.
Presence expression.
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify.
Roll away when you have the chance. So like some broken steam engine with the caboose still plugged in and dialed into where Tyke is leading you all as he charges headlong, the scent of his prey. Guiding him, you all follow along with Hazel yelling from the rear, to the left, to the right. No, don't follow that path. Follow, and leading you in the opposite direction of what is the easiest way through the hedge, which seems to purposely offer options that are less dangerous than where Tyke is heading. And while you're on level ground, it's hard to not feel that you're sinking further and further into hell. It very much feels like you are in fact heading into Hades' own kingdom. Like you're heading into Tartarus to pull your love up out of the depths of hell and death itself. As if your song, the one that still echoes in your ears from the chaplain, is your guiding star, your north, your true north. And it doesn't take long as far as such things go. But of course, not taking long and taking forever inside the hedge are one and the exact same thing. So as seconds tick closer to minutes and you feel the walls closing in, you find yourself in a meadow. A tall grass, wind-swept space. The sky already lightening as if it's near dawn. The forest in the distance seeming to call you and pull you forward. There are huge trees abounding, redwoods and cherries and hickories and oaks, and standing in the center of all of this mass of trees, just the other side of what you believe should be reality, is an elm, a hanging tree of sorts. There are several boughs stuffed, filled with hanging bipedal forms, each one reaching out and wriggling its finger towards you. You can almost hear them. Come closer, come closer, come help me. Is anyone else doing anything other than following Hazel and chasing behind Tyke?
Hazel is patently ignoring the tree.
Kira is also ignoring the tree.
Not quite ignoring the tree, but just kind of like not deviating to go help, but taking note that that tree exists and is in past the direction that they're heading.
All right. That
He's on a mission.
And yes, he is. The spirit of the huntsman has washed over him. His prey is just as there in a clearing the other side of that tree. He knows that has to be the location where everything is happening. And the everything that is happening, well, it is in fact everything. Because that tree, the hanging tree, all those many missing lost, all those many missing changelings who have lost themselves and went seeking parts of themselves are there. Those of you who have a willpower of 4 or less, be so kind as to go ahead and roll your resolve plus word DC 2. Because it is in fact a siren's call. If you have any contracts that would help with resistance and they add up to 2, you still need to roll 1 success.
Cloak of Leaf Supply.
Yes.
You said 4 or less, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm at 5, I'm good.
Yep.
Willpower's 1, 2, 3, 4. My willpower is 6, so.
And what did you say the DC was?
You needed 2, but unless of course you have any contracts that will help you with resistance, then you only need to have a single success. It's amazing the things that you can inure yourself to. It's amazing the amount of things that are right on the edge of unacceptable and ignorable. The plight and calling out of all of those lost is ignorable, because in the moment what matters is this Motley and their goal, led forward by Tyke's implacable sense of prey. You all are able to tune out that whispering susurrus call. You're able to tune out just how deplorable those souls are. You're able to, in the moment, overcome the sense of loss you even felt earlier this very evening as Lucinda's body was lowered into the ground. Breaking through into the clearing, It is exactly as Tyke glimpsed it, though he didn't inform you all. It is Disneyland filled with animatronics instead of dressed princesses and characters from various movies. There are broken yet still moving animatronics, and there's a part of you that instantly knows that mouse left school and decided to walk home by themselves before finding itself here. That broken bird with the one wing bent at the odd angle, the metal still screaming in pain, was waiting at the bus stop when the dark car pulled up, the window rolling down, and a familiar face leaned out and said, "Hey, I'll give you a ride home," before they arrived here. You know that the several small figures dressed like broken soldiers, the green little plastic guys that come in various shapes, some holding bazookas, some holding revolvers, one, your favorite, holding that flamethrower like backpack. They were on a school trip. They were visiting the Shed Aquarium, and one of the keepers asked if they want to come down and touch the dolphins. And they all fought and raised their hand and cheered and moved closer to the water falling in. You're not sure how you know and what's slipping that knowledge into you, what's allowing you to absorb those moments of those who couldn't make it back, who couldn't escape, who followed a voice that called them into the dark. But you know, you understand, you feel what it was like for them. And then sitting there on a throne made of lost library books, various sizes and shapes. You can read some of the spine, some of them having their covers torn off, others with out of date stamped on them. She sits, and that thing that was her dog, you realize, is a stuffed animal. But not just any stuffed animal. It is a black hole of all of the stuffed animals that have been abused, lost, burned, or discarded throughout the years. They are the remnants of children's safety and security, ground up and held together by a force of magnetism that no hope can escape. And she sits there licking a lollipop, only semi-solid, looking very much like melted chocolate ice cream, barely held together, barely bipedal, and her voice sing-song, "You've come to play, yay!" Most people never make it this far. Most kids give up by now.
Tyke is gonna go pound her like a nail.
Aurora probably is no match for Tyke's strength, but she is going to do her best to kind of grab onto the back of his pants and dig her feet in to the ground, trying to slow him down because this other being's realm or space, and they don't know what the other thing can do yet, so it would be smart to come up with a game plan. So she is going to do her best, like I said, to hold on to him. Whoa, hold on.
Kara will also help grabbing onto the other side in a very cartoonish, like digging heels into the ground, trying to stop this charging behemoth.
Hazel will just step around and cross her arms. Well, you've got us here.
Alright, so several things happening at once, as is always the case in these situations. Attempting to move around Tyke's broad, hairy, red back that has cracks and scars from battles long survived, from having moments of putting himself in harm's way for his keeper, keeping them safe from all of the harms they were manifesting. As he is determined to get to her, to get to it, you step around them. So between the two of you, your initiative modifiers. And while that's happening, while that comparison is in the offing, Aurora, Kira, your initiative modifiers as well, please.
5.
Mine is
5.
Yeah,
Sorry,
5
yes.
here too.
I have 7.
Is Kira going to change their action, having an idea as to some of the interplay that's going to happen? Because there is very little chance that Tyke actually stops.
I'm gonna say no.
Alright, so that means that you're going to be rolling for you and Hazel. You get a +1. Roll your strength plus brawl. And if you have any specialties in grappling or any maneuver that you'd like to try, now is the time to let me know so we can add that to your die pool.
Are you sure that Aurora doesn't want to roll for me? That's a non-existent dice pool.
All right.
Okay, I have a quick question. I know I'm attempting to hold them, but if I can use something else to hold them besides just myself, is that considered a separate action, or is it something I can do?
So you're changing your action to hold them with what?
That was just a question. I mean, I'm going to stick with what I have if I can't do that without a penalty.
Okay. So, Kira, you're moving first. Hazel, you're moving second. Being as you guys were working together, Kira was going to roll for you both, but that gives Kira a +1, or you may attempt something else. And with Hazel putting themselves bodily in the way, that is also a small difficulty for Tyke to move past. And of course, he just ignores the effort to stop him.
And I'm just going to give them the +1 then, because, yeah, that was what her first instinct was, is to grab on and try to pull back.
Alright, Kiara, roll your strength plus brawl +1. And
Please don't laugh.
oh wow, look at that. Tyke, with your Motley attempting to slow you down and stop you as Hazel steps in front of you, are you changing your action, or are you charging headlong through them all to get to her?
I think Tyke Summer Courtness says yes, he is.
Go ahead, roll your strength plus brawl. And Hazel. Now here's with Tyke clearly not caring and moving forward, you moving into his path, are you still sticking with that, or you're going to change your action?
Probably going to regret it, but she's staying where she's at.
All right, roll your dexterity and athletics. All right.
Well, it was nice knowing everyone.
Nothing ever goes to plan except for the fact that the plan will always fail. Everyone had a separate plan, a separate idea, a moment of we're going to, as fate laughs. She splatters, turning into a mist of chocolate-scented confection as Tyke charges forward, carrying with him Kiera and Aurora, who are holding on to the remnants of his pants as he charges forward, sending Hazel flying 3 feet too far out of the way to bring his fist down upon that mighty throne of discarded and forgotten lost library books, sending them flying like a man-made tornado of torn pages and lost thoughts. You can hear children crying as the books land. Tyke's fists covered in the sticky goo of some chocolate ice cream-like sweet realizes that his target has slithered and slimed and is reforming behind them. Hazel, 2 points of superficial normally doesn't mean all that much, except for it's not exactly superficial. These thoughts and assailments of pain are real. Your body was not made for such things. As you tumble and slide in the dirt and dust of this grassy plain, certain thoughts come due. One does not stand between the predator and its prey. Other thoughts immediately shut that down. I don't even have her name. The fuck? While Aurora and Kiera know what it's like to lasso or tornado, they imagine themselves as Pecos Bill, being pulled along by a force of nature. And Tyke, how fucking dare she stain you? It smells sweet and almost sickly. It's just too much rich, fatty waste. And as it reforms, as she reforms, as it reforms, you can feel the welling up of magic. You can feel something in the offing There is glamour and its dirty, dark twin melding and swirling together as it reforms. The dog is there licking up the bits of ice cream from the scattered books in the throne, now lying in a wreck. What is it that you all are doing?
Tyke smash.
Kira.
Yeah, but I need to make sure that it will make sense. So let somebody else go.
Kira, realizing how futile it is to try and stop Tyke, is instead going to run over to Hazel to make sure she's okay after getting ran over.
He will wave Kira off and stand up.
Or your action got a little lost. What were you saying?
Oh, she will wave Kira off and stand up.
So as you right yourself, and Kira's halfway from where Tyke is whirling and charging that chocolatey goop that is her. And Aurora is righting herself or trying to figure out which way is up at this point. Because it very much does feel like you were a load of laundry set on tumble dry. Tyke is an implacable, unstoppable thing in this moment. It is clear and understandable just what it might feel like being the source of his anger. What it might feel like being the target of all of that fury. And yet this thing is laughing. This thing is having the time of its life. This thing is very much treating this as if this is a game of tag. Even as it is reaching deep into that empty space between hope and prayer, where there's a very fervent wish of things. The very essence of magic is growing and compounding upon itself. With Tyke's actions clear and no one else declaring anything, would you be so kind as to go ahead, roll your strength and brawl, Tyke, with any bonuses that you have from contracts? And as you whirl, moving faster than you have in quite some time, feeling the actual security of being home, which is the problem about being on this side of the hedge. You feeling secure and being home and knowing what your mission is to protect by destroying all enemies to what you are. There's the understanding that dawns. The more you flex, the more you tap into the spirit of that security and being home, the more and greater chance that those things, that thing that kept you here, will notice you. The very real understanding that being here very well will alert the huntsmen out there in the dark who have never given up the scent of your trail. And you land in a splattering splash of something chocolatey and sweet as she once more melts into nothingness. The stickiness cloying, staining your red skin, causing those wounds you suffered hundreds of years ago, tens of years ago, weeks ago, to seem as if they are in fact fresh. The battle just over, the marks that remain glowing with heat, feeling as if all of the magical white blood vessels in your body are rushing to heal those wounds once more. And it giggles and laughs like a baby being sherberted, as if someone is putting mouth to belly, or someone is tickling its toes, or someone is tickling just under its chin, and you hear that eerie, childlike giggle. And it reforms, slithering through your legs, past your feet, past all of the churned up ground beneath each of your blows. And it once more appears behind you. Now in the center of where the four of you all are, dancing, bobbing, and weaving. What is it that you all are doing?
Hazel is going to pause and look around the opening or the grove, just looking for anything that seems out of place, maybe too obvious, just something that stands out that might give her a clue as to how to resolve this puddle that keeps becoming a puddle and reforming.
Okay, I'm taking it they wouldn't be considered an object, right?
No, they would not.
Okay, so if I try to affect their form using Changeling's time, it wouldn't work.
No.
Tyke is not smart enough to formulate any of the plans that I have formulated, so he just keeps getting angrier. So he will attempt to smash it again.
Kira.
Kira is much like Hazel, is just trying to figure out the situation, see if there's something, either something in the environment or some pattern in this thing's behavior that will give us a clue as to how exactly to deal with it.
Rora's gonna yell, "Shut your eyes," and do that thing where they blind everything within 40 feet.
Wait, what? Oh my god, no!
Right?
All right. So that gives your allies a +1 to resist. What was the name of the roll? The contract that you're using?
a kiss blessing? So I have to roll a rouse roll, basically.
All right, sounds like a plan.
I have no clue what that means.
With you failing the routes, you feel Arcadia itself leeching the essence of you. Because here across the hedge, your mask is not in place. Here across the edge, you are in fact a creature of glamour. Your battery that's powering you, the energy of your life and existence. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and mark off 1 superficial damage to your glamour? It is missing. You are increasing in banality. And after a certain point, Arcadia itself will reject you. The world will reject you. Your face seeming won't be who you are anymore. And you feel that very real essence of immortal, permanent death crawling over you. But those of you who are in resistance, would you be so kind? You need a +1, so you need a 2 or higher with your composure plus word roll, and I will roll for her. She unfortunately does not have the benefit of the warning, so when she fails, if she fails, she will in fact be at a -2 to all of her dice and have received the same amount in bashing damage, i.e. she will mark off 2 superficial from her health tracker.
Composure plus what?
Word.
Presumably, Cloak of Leaves applies again.
Yes.
Hooray for high composure.
High composure is a very good thing. That means that you all hear Aurora's yell to close your eyes, and you all shield just in time as the bright flash of... You're not sure what that actually is. Is it starlight? Is it reflected sunlight? Is it... You're not sure. But whatever it is that she's able to do, you all close and shield just in time as you feel buffeted by a force of wind rushing past you. However, her, does not. She doesn't think it could hurt her. She's here in her home, and she's knocked to the ground, immediately trying to rise, trying to figure out where everything is. And Tyke, still in the midst of smashing, what is it that you're doing? Would you like to roll your strength plus brawl?
You betcha.
Hulk smash.
Wow. All right, one, and what's Does Tyke have any additional damaging contracts? Or is it all his strength, all his fury is what he is attacking with, is all that he's attacking with?
Yep, just his strength and fury.
That is no small amount of anything. Unlike in the real world, here in the hedge, the belief of a thing matters as much as the thing. While you all have the ability within you to shape the world around you, at least when you're this side of the hedge, most of you all don't do so consciously. It's the subconscious that leaks through your actions. It's the belief in yourself, the perception of yourself that matters far in excess of what you actually are. And Tyke sees himself as
Was that a question? Probably waiting for me.
yes.
Tyke is a unstoppable juggernaut of pain.
But was he always so? Was he
far as
always this?
As far as he knows, yes.
And would both Hazel and Kira roll let's see, what's the best, most applicable? Your wits and either occult or your wits plus your wits plus occult or your wits plus investigation.
Investigation, I have a detail specialty.
For occult, I have a folklore specialty. I don't know if that would apply here, but
Yes, to both.
And I also have a trained observer, which is a 9 Zigen merit.
So yeah, go ahead, add 2 dice instead of 1. She's stalling. There's no huge, grandiose secret. She's stalling. Part of its plan, part of what it feeds on is in fact you all. The tree is not just changeling that have lost their way. They're changeling that she hung out like the shrike, sticking them on thorns and keeping them here. And while she nibbles here and there, and while that dog, the expression of her that is the tossed off bits of children's stuffed animals, patchworked together into a black hole of such gravitational pull that not much else escapes, she's stalling. She's keeping you all here. If you look where you all are each standing, you're at the cardinal directions. Almost as if there's a spell of some sort in the working, as if she's calling out. That welling up of magic is in fact a signal. That dancing, giggling presence, that tag that she's playing with Tyke, is all in an effort to keep you all here just long enough. and looking at the animatronics that were formerly children, that were formerly the lost, that were formerly what you all are, the escaped, it becomes obvious why she's stalling, what she's stalling for. There are people, things, aspects of the hunt on their way here now. And Tyke, your damage that you deal her is surprisingly massive. When your fists connect with all of that soupy, semi-solid, chocolate melted mess, you hear ice shattering. You hear an iceberg shearing off portions of itself. You feel as if you've struck something that is both 100% real and 100% permeable. Like your fist hitting a sponge made of frozen crystalline remnants of something else. The ice cream mess, the stickiness, simply a distraction, simply something that will cause you to go ick long enough to pause between things. As she stumbles, she giggles and stops and begins crying. And there's nothing worse than that, because those tears are so very similar to that which you protected for so very long. Don't let them hurt me. Please stop.
Kira's gonna look at Hazel and say, I'm gonna try something really stupid. That tree, I'm gonna see if I can destroy it.
Hazel will nod at her, and she will, assuming that Tyke is kind of paralyzed with the child crying, she will gently place her hand on his back, like, ignore her. She is nothing compared to her masters. And then she will continue to walk past.
And as Kira gets up to the tree, she's gonna touch it and just whisper to it, wither, and we'll use the Touch of Wrath contract.
Hearing the child's voice is considerably worse than the giggling. Hearing the child's voice stirs that sense of loss that you felt watching Lucinda be lowered into the ground once more. And while all those feelings are washing over you, Aurora, is there anything else that you're doing?
I don't have a contract for it, but I do have a specialty in calming through empathy. Can I attempt to use that with Tyke to get them back to themselves enough to be pulled away from this situation?
Yes. Tyke, hearing that voice and knowing that something needs your protection, is there anything else that you're doing?
I don't have an applicable contract, but what Tyke would want to do is pick her up and just throw her into the distance.
Okay. You don't need a contract for that. Grabbing that finally solidified version of it is just a strength and grapple. So it's contested, of course, but a DC 3 will typically do that for you. As close as you are, as Hazel is walking past you, as Aurora is offering their sucre. As Aurora is offering what little strength they have, you can add a +1 to your roll. And while that is in the offing, Kira, there is something that is indescribably damaging about your touch. Rarely does it actually turn back on you, but in this moment you feel just what it's like to be broken once more. You feel all of those years of service jotting down what was needed to be jotted down. Make a note of that. 5 words that you hope to never hear again. You feel as the tree responds, but no, not like. And then one crack that sounds like thunder as it begins to fall over. All of those wailing, whispering fingers pointing towards you. And you realize the tree is not only a living thing, and it's one of you. Or at least it was yesterday, the week before, or whenever this was actually planted here. Much like the animatronics, it is made of you. It is another thing meant to the whim and will of these strange entities that exist this side of the hedge. And as it cracks and falls, so too does your grip and grasp on the magic holding you here, the ink of your hair, the underlying fabric of you. A page unwritten, or to be more perfectly accurate, a page erased. Portions of you still remain this side of the hedge, and you know that they are closer than they should be and farther than you can see. As Tyke hurls it past you. There are some things that exist simply because nothing else wants them. Even the oblivion of forever has cast them out of its grace. Nothing should feel that or should understand that. But in being as you all are, set adrift from this world and your chosen ones, you understand it on a spiritual level. You understand it in the brief portions of your soul that remained you. And adding injury to that insult, to that lifetime of servitude, are the baying of the hounds. Hundreds of them, echoing off the invisible walls of this space. You feel them closing in like a storm, far enough off to witness it begin brewing. You can smell it on the air like rain. There is a hunt closing quickly, close enough that you know it is in fact a race back to where you began this night, back through that closet, back into your world before it gets here. There are several things that happen in that moment, personally, individually, and as a group. It is impossible to not hear the hounds of the hunt and not imagine and not feel and not relive those hundreds of thousands of millions of hours in servitude. Kira hears. Make a note of that. Tyke hears. Help me. Aurora hears the lapping of the water as it courses around her, the tinkle and sound of waves crashing as her keeper grows angry with her flirtations with other water. And Hazel hears, no, not right. Almost perfect is not perfect. And the hounds close inches closer, miles closer, seconds away, hours away. One cannot tell. Arcadia's sense of time is all about belief. It is, in fact, a race. And with the idea sitting there for all of us, I'd like to thank you all for a lovely session. I look forward to seeing you all next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night.